Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Hi, I'm so excited that you are joining me today on the Finding Harmony podcast because I'm sitting down with a beautiful woman who I had the great pleasure and good fortune to meet a couple of years back. We were in the same coach training program, the Mastery Method by the Institute for Coaching Mastery by our teacher, Alyssa Nobriga. And it was a very in-depth course where we got to know each other really well. And we worked together a couple of times in different sessions, holding space for each other. And I really wanted to introduce her to you because she has so many beautiful gifts that we're going to get into today. So hello, Bhavya. How are you today?
Hi, Harmony. I am wonderful, and thank you so much for having me here. I love the name of your podcast, Finding Harmony, because I think we all are trying to do that. So thank you for having this beautiful platform.
Oh, thank you. Yes, indeed. It's universal, isn't it?
It sure
Yeah.
is.
Well, you've written a beautiful book called Worthy to Be Me. I have it right here. And this is the story of not your whole life, but the beginnings, the origins, and a little bit of a harrowing tale of a marriage gone wrong and what beautiful things have come since then we will get into. But one thing that really stood out to me reading this book and spending so many years in India and with many of the local people there, you really reveal a lot of your personal story, but I feel like it's a very common universal story in India.
Yes, that's true. And I would say more so in the people who, not maybe the younger generation now,
Mm.
because they have more exposure,
Yeah.
social media, internet, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think for my generation and a little older generation, I think it still holds true, though people are trying to break out of that mold now
Yeah.
and getting inspired with what's happening in the world. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really struck me like, I feel like this time that we're moving into is a time of female empowerment or like the goddess energy coming more into form on this planet. And so your book really, to me, is an embracing of this spirit or a revealing how society or culture is slowly moving towards more embracing this, I don't know, I guess energy, this feminine energy, which is more nurturing, maybe more inclusive, less judgmental, less about following very strict rules and dogma and disempowering women, keeping them under the thumb because of whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure why cultures do that. What's your experience in India? Because I think people sometimes, especially yoga people, feel like India is such a like mystical place and it's full of spiritually enlightened beings. But my experience is there is an aspect to it that is quite mystical, but there's also an aspect to it that's quite oppressive.
Yes, I think that talks into the duality of things. I know this as I was born and brought up in India. And when I moved abroad, when I came to Canada, everybody I met, I've been in Canada for 23 years now. So everybody I met, they were like, oh, India, that image, that
Yeah.
mystical yoga, and you can run from the world and you go to India, and that's where the awakening happens, those kind of thoughts.
Yes.
And That was also the time when I used to tell people, if you ever want to travel to India, please don't go alone.
Yeah, especially as a woman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was always like, let me know. Maybe I can connect you with my friends. And also, at least you have someone there. So,
Mhm.
in case you need help, don't get fooled. It's part of the mirage, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because from the surface, it's very mystical and all. But, well, these are two different sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for
Yeah.
awakening to happen, that so darkness and light, they're not separate from each other. They are different sides of the same coin. So when something is rising or shifting, it's both that are rising.
Mm.
And then it's up to us what we choose.
Yeah.
So if we get attracted towards darkness, then that is what will come into our life. But if we are, let's say, we have this desire or we are yearning for light and we have been doing some inner work, then light is what will attract us,
Mm. Yeah.
or we attract light, because it gets both ways, right? Because we
Yeah.
are all energy beings, and who we are, where we are at, we are vibrating at a certain energetic level, and we attract in our life what resonates with us at that level.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah, so both are there, but what we get attracted to depends on where we are at, what is feeding our soul at that time.
Hmm.
It's not very simple, but it's not even very complicated. It's a deeper concept
Hmm.
that once when we understand, then everything starts making sense.
Yeah. I'm curious because I also believe this, but then I think of things and I can hear maybe objections of skeptics who say, well, how do you account for child abuse?
Mhm,
Because children are beautiful, innocent beings, and
mhm,
yet sometimes terrible things happen to them. In your story, in your book, in your
mhm,
autobiography, you speak of your own experiences with this. Like, how do we account for that when we think of, like, yes, as we raise our vibration, we're also
mhm,
energetically kind of entering a field where things are matching both,
mhm,
but maybe darkness and light,
mhm,
which
mhm,
is interesting because sometimes I
mhm.
think we put light up here and darkness down here, but darkness can vibrate at a pretty high frequency too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think what will help make this concept a little bit clearer, I want to
Mhm.
bring in Akashic Records in here, if that's okay
Yeah,
with you.
please.
Okay. And I will take my example also in this, because you mentioned that I mentioned in the book what I went
Yes.
through. And this will make sense to you because I think you've had a taste of the Akashic Records session. So, this will fit
Yes.
in perfectly. So before we take birth, so before this incarnation, before being born as, let's say, Bhavya or Harmony, so
Yeah.
we have worked out what we are going to do in this life. So there are lessons that we have chosen. And then it's like a movie. There's casting that has been done. So people are going to play different roles in this. So for me, I am the main character
Yeah.
of my movie. For you,
Yes.
you are the main character, right?
Yeah.
So the other characters that we have chosen, they are playing different roles as assigned to them, because obviously there are lessons involved. There are lessons for them as well. So it's not just my life, so my lessons. It's not like that. So when we are working with other souls or other people, they are also learning lessons. So it's like to learn a lesson entirely, we have to
Mm.
experience both sides of it. So, for example, if gratitude is a lesson that I have chosen, I will create, or I have already thought about it. It's just the manifestation, the physical manifestation is happening in this world now. I will create circumstances and situations where I will need help. I will be in a position where I won't be able to fulfill whatever it is, and I'm dependent on someone. So when they are playing that role, They are fulfilling their role, and that gives me an opportunity to learn gratitude. So, to be able to learn the lesson, we have to live the opposite of it. I know initially I used to get very perturbed by this because, like, why is so much wrong in the world? Why is there darkness and all? Because when you see people suffering, then you feel bad and you're like, I wish I could do something. And then you also feel, well, what's happening with the universe?
Right.
Why do we have evil people? Why do we have bad people in the world? And then one day I realized, and that is what helps me. So that's where I kind of find my balance and go into my, the Zen state, is that I don't know their life. I don't know the lessons they have chosen. I don't know what they're working on.
Mm.
And that means I don't have a right to judge what they are doing.
Yeah.
If someone looks at my life and thinks, oh, but you didn't do anything wrong, why were you abused as a child? What I can say is that through these experiences, I used to be a people pleaser. I was always, because I grew up in the culture where you have to be a good girl, because if you're not a good girl, you will not get married into a good family. So, girls' lives was the life depended on being accepted into the society, into a good family. If you're a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother,
Yeah.
that is your identity, and you are nothing else outside of that. And if you are thinking too much about yourself, then you are being very selfish. It's very
Yeah.
individualistic, because the girls grow up to become women. So
Yes.
the women are the ones that are meant to keep the family together. They are the nurturers, they are there to take care of the family. And that also means that they need to sacrifice their own needs,
Yeah.
because serving others makes you a better person.
Right.
So, this is the time I was born in. This is the culture I was born in. And I did everything I was told to do because my identity depended on if I am getting the approval. And if I'm approved, then I belong. And we all, humans, they want to belong. And that's where the family, the society, community, that's where everything comes from. So that was what was in play through these experiences. And there were several things that happened, which I mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
So through those, I actually found myself. So the biggest lesson for me in this lifetime was actually to find who I was,
Mm.
because my identity was tied in with these roles that I was to play in the family in the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah.
So after going through all of that, I to come out on the other side and stand strong. And the beautiful part in all of this harmony is that once the lesson was learned, everything, all of these people who were playing these roles, everything that was happening, they dissipated. They just fizzled out. It was like once I was on the other side, I was on the other side. There was nothing that was pulling me back or dragging me into the muck again. It was not like that at all.
Yeah.
And once I saw the growth that I had experienced, once I saw, I had no idea. Like, people at times said, oh my God, you did this. Wow, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I tell them, you never know actually, because I'm sure if you were going through this and you were at that place where, my friend jokingly had said this, that Bhavya, you're in the pits. You cannot go any deeper.
Yeah.
From here, you can only go up.
Yeah. They say that when you hit rock bottom, the only place to go is up.
Yeah. I had to borrow money from my parents. And this is after working. I started, even when I was in grade 10, I was doing tuitions. Like I was earning money. And at that time, girls didn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's something that really struck me in your book, which was and I've seen this in India so many times. The women actually taking care and working and earning money for the family.
Yeah.
And the men, for some reason, are unable to do this. They just kind of often spend it or go drinking and
Mhm.
lose all the money or gamble it, or there's all kinds of kind of ways that happen. But especially a certain maybe class of
Mhm.
Indian families and people
Mhm.
is every housekeeper I had was a woman who was supporting her family. Every babysitter was a woman who was supporting her family.
Yeah.
It was just like the workers
Mhm.
were women and their husbands were like not really involved in equal partnership financially. And
Yeah.
it really struck me in your story. That was also a part of your experience of
Mhm.
in a culture that, wants women in one respect to stay at home and in the kitchen and taking care of the family.
Mhm.
There's also this other kind of dichotomy that happens where the women are the only ones who, because they need to take care of the family, they have to also like work outside of the home to
Yeah.
take care of the family, and then also they're expected to take care of the family in the home.
Yeah. No, it is there. I think it is there even now to some extent. And I feel this comes from a place of the men or the boys were always placed higher in
Mm,
rank than girls or daughters. So the sons were always considered better than daughters.
yeah,
And the whole reason being that the daughters were more like they're born to us, but we're going to marry them off to someone. So they don't belong to us, they belong to somebody else. Until
right.
that time, they are not married off. We are just their caretakers. We're taking care of them. But for the
Yeah,
boys, it was always that, oh, he's the one that is going to, our next generation depends on the boys because the boys are going to stay at home. The girls are going to, if we are comparing,
yeah,
so one is moving out, the other one is going to stay here. And the boys were also expected to take care of the parents.
right.
And that was the whole, I think, the cultural idea behind this
Yeah,
that gave the boys more authority at home. Parents listened to the boys more
mhm,
because they were like, he is the one who's going to take care of us in our old age.
yeah,
So that preferential treatment was always there from the beginning.
yeah,
It took some time, like my parents, even when they came and visited me while I was married,
yeah.
they never ate or even water, was like, no, not from my daughter's house.
Right,
And even, yeah, because it was a cultural thing that you give to your daughter, you don't eat at their place. So
right.
every time they visited, they always came bearing lots of gifts.
Yeah,
So never empty handed. And I remember my grandmother, like my mom's mom, my granny, she wouldn't let me leave without something. She would always hand me some money
yeah,
because you don't send daughters empty handed.
right.
So I think that's where a lot of this is coming from.
Mhm,
But then later on, what happened is because when from the beginning you're not shouldering responsibility, suddenly you will not become very responsible because now you have a different attitude towards life, right? So
mhm.
the boys, when they became men, that attitude was still there.
Yeah,
I think that's how the women, even
mhm,
now in this case, let's say a girl is getting married and coming into the family, that's where the boy or the man is
mhm.
doing everything. And when they're doing something, they also like demand respect
Mm,
because of
mhm.
the role they are playing. They are the head of the family, all of that. But then the women also, she's working, she's going out to work. And
Yeah,
so it's a double whammy for her because she has to listen to her bosses at work
yeah,
because the women were treated a little lower. And I mean, we know
mhm.
this. Even in
Yeah,
North America, the women don't get paid the same salary that men do, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's there all over the world. But in some cultures, like I would say in India, this was more predominant, right?
yeah,
So now the woman is doing everything, of course. Childbearing is also the woman's responsibility. If there are no children, then something has to be wrong with her. So, starting with a wife, a daughter in law, and then later on, mother, those
Yeah.
roles, plus she has to be good at work too. So, there's a lot of responsibilities, lots of hats that the women wear. And the men kind of are more like, oh, I have done this, or I have done my part. You have to even I find it very funny, Harmony, because so many of the when I see Indian families migrate,
Hmm.
when they come to Canada, I hear it from people still. The men refuse to cook. The men refuse to do the dishes because they still want to be treated like they were back home.
Yeah.
But in India, at least there is help. There'll be somebody coming to do the dishes, somebody coming to do the cleaning and all. But here, the women have to do all of that, plus the job, plus the commute, plus taking care of the family, the children, make sure their homeworks are done and all. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
Yeah.
many times the men are like, okay, let's go back to India then because I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. I mean, there's so many interesting kind of cultural differences in many ways. And like you say, in India, like having someone come and help cook meals or basically just cook the meals is very common. Having a
Mhm.
housekeeper or cleaner
Yeah.
who comes in maybe every day or every other day is very common. And
Mhm.
it's such a blessing when you're in the position to be able to hire help.
Yeah.
It's very, yeah, very nice as a woman.
I know. It frees up time to do things that you want to do, right?
Yeah, but back here in North America, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, I am the housemaid, I'm the dishwasher, I am
Yeah,
the one who's doing laundry, everything. And I'm the boss, and I like all those roles, like whatever you're doing, you're
yeah,
everything. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's a lot, it's a lot, but times are changing a little bit, yeah, and I think as women more women step into their
yeah,
power and their leadership and start creating, like you say, those positive boundaries, doing our own inner work around people pleasing and
yes,
needing to belong or be liked and
yeah,
starting to support each other in a healthy way instead
mhm,
of I think as you were speaking earlier, this older generation who's like always trying to keep everyone in line, right? Like
mhm,
trying to make sure the women stay in line and don't step out of line.
yeah,
And I think we're entering a different time where women are learning to support each other in maybe a little more positive and healthy ways, I hope.
yeah. No, I'm seeing a change, and it's actually beautiful to watch that. And on that note, Harmony, I want to mention one more thing. So this obviously it's my life story. So this book was sitting in me for
Yeah.
decades, and I couldn't bring myself to complete this book. I started writing it in 2008,
Yeah.
and I wrote a chapter or two, and I remember I read that chapter to my mom,
Mm.
and her reaction was, "So, we all know that. What's new about it?" Now, she was coming from a place because again, it's a cultural thing that don't share it with people,
Yeah.
then you'll be judged. So, more
Yeah.
like on terms of don't wash your dirty laundry in public.
Yeah. That's one reason why I've never written a book is because I'm afraid of my mother.
So, I wrote one or two chapters, and then once she said it, it's like, when you open, the cork is out of the champagne bottle, and then somebody puts it right back. So,
Yeah.
that's what happened for me. And then I just sat, I didn't write it anymore. But then last year with what happened in US, and how some of those the legislation where the women, they're taking away the rights from
Mhm.
women, abortion rights and all of that.
Yeah.
When that happened, and I have two daughters, right? So when I saw
Yeah.
that, like, you wouldn't believe it, I cried and I cried because I was like, what? Oh my goodness, women who have come before us, they have worked so hard to give us the rights that we take for granted today.
Yeah.
You know, nobody even asked women what they wanted, right?
Yeah.
This is how women were. And so many powerful women have come before us and they fought for the little rights. And at
Yeah.
that time, they went through so much. And here we are in the 21st century. And here again, all those abortion and whatnot. Like, I was so
Mhm.
upset with all of that. That was enough for me to actually write. So my mom's voice in my head, I didn't care about that. And I thought I owe it to myself and I owe it to the younger generation because this is not how it should be.
No.
And if we don't stand up, if we don't speak up,
Yeah.
in this age, honestly speaking, abortion or no abortion, it doesn't matter to me at this age. But it is
Yeah.
not about me. This is bigger than us. We're talking about women's rights. We're talking
Exactly.
about this younger generations, these
Mhm.
little girls or teenagers or girls in their 20s and 30s and all, which are younger than us, but they need that support.
Yeah, it's the rights to autonomy and to your
Absolutely.
body. And
Yeah,
these are basic human rights, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I didn't know anybody here in Canada, and I moved all the way because I was seeking autonomy. I didn't want my daughters to be treated the way I was. And that gave me the courage.
Yeah, to cross an ocean.
Exactly. And I didn't know people here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
just
good.
I took a leap of faith. I just surrendered everything to God, universe, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything holding me back in India. And when I saw people questioning my daughters, in their very sly manner, where's your father? And how come he's not here? And my little girls trying to fend for themselves,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And that
Yeah.
is when I thought, you know what? No, I don't want people telling them what to do, what not to do. And I
Mhm.
don't want people bullying them.
Yeah.
So for autonomy, I had to move out of India.
Yeah.
It was a big risk I took, but it paid off. So I do want to say this to whoever is listening, when we are going through tough times in life, the future looks bleak. It looks like there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And you question your existence, your survival, your identity, you question everything you have done up to that point. But if you just start trusting and surrender all the doubts and everything, because the universe came through for me. I won't. There's no way possible anybody can do it alone.
Yeah.
So the people who, and I call them, they were like angels in disguise. The people who helped me out. Harmony, it was absolutely gorgeous
Yeah.
because we have heard horror stories, right? I want to share these good things too because I'm so grateful for these little blessings.
Yeah.
You know, strangers, complete strangers, people I didn't know. I remember I had to go to Staten Island
Mhm.
because the people I knew were like one of my ex colleagues, father's colleagues, daughter, like those kind of relationships. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was somebody who was in Staten Island, and so I was there. I came just to figure out, just to see what's out there because I wanted to get out of India. Nothing was working out. My ex husband's family, they were influential, they knew people. So wherever I worked, there was interference. That was also the time I had to like leave a couple of jobs because the demands were very subtle. At
Yeah.
4:35 I'm getting like, can you please put, I want this report first thing in the morning. And
Right.
there's no way possible for me to get that report because I have to contact global locations and
Right.
get information and then feed that into an Excel sheet. So
Yeah.
not possible at all. And so there was a lot of this going on. So I saw that it was not working out. And I'm like, I don't know, God, please show me a sign. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
So I won't go into this now, but the way I got my visas and all, everything was a miracle. I got my Canadian visa first, then next day I was like, wow, that worked. So I went for my US visa. And the people there also, like, how the universe comes together.
Yeah.
I went for the interview, and the officer, she asked me, why you want to go there. So my reasoning was that my father, who was actually invited in Quebec
Okay.
to
Yeah.
speak, like his trip, everything was funded by the
Yeah.
university. So mom was accompanying him. I used to be a flight attendant. So I said, my mom is flying for the first time and she's scared of flying. So I need to go with her.
Yeah.
And the officer, she said, but you do know, you were a flight attendant. You do know that there are flight attendants on the flight. I said, yes, I know, but she will feel better if I'm
Yeah.
there. And she looked at me and she said, you do know how lame you sound.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, I know. I literally, it was like, because I knew, like, I said, I know, but it's my birthday. And, if I got the visa, oh my God, that would be the best birthday gift ever. I was genuine. Okay.
Yeah.
I walked out of there. And that was the time when, you didn't have to go through third parties. You had to just stand outside in a line and then you go in as you get,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that's how it was done in those times. And passport was given back. I didn't even open to take a look at it. I thought, yeah, she told me that it's lame, and I accepted that it was lame. So one of the other girls who was there for her study visa, she called out and she said, did you get the visa? I said, I'm sure I didn't. She said, at least open the passport.
Yeah.
Open the passport, and I had 10-year multiple entry visa.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
these small things.
Yeah.
And then when I first time I went to New York, that is when I was going to Staten Island. I didn't have a phone, and this is the
Yeah.
time when those pay phones were there. You put a quarter in, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, those were the phones. So before taking the ferry, she had told me to call her so she could come and pick me up. The phone was not working. I tried, but 2, 3 times the quarter just went through. So there was a lady, African American lady, who was
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah.
She noticed what was going on and she offered her phone to me to make a
Wow.
call. These are
Amazing.
like small things, but this was a long time ago, decades
Yeah.
ago, but I still remember that kindness. And then same way when I had to, because I was on a tourist visa, and then I went to Detroit to get a
Mm.
study visa.
Yeah.
I had no clue, didn't have internet access. I
No.
just took the Greyhound bus, overnight journey, like 4 in the morning. I reached Detroit, and I couldn't sleep on the bus. So here I was, like, very sleepy. So I sat in their food court, and it was empty. Obviously, nobody was there. I was
Yeah.
alone. I sat in the food court. I put my head down, and that's where I napped. And I woke
Yeah.
up when people started coming, and it became a little noisy.
Yeah.
Didn't have any appointment. I had no idea that I had to make an appointment.
Yeah.
I just went up and I went to the counter and I said, I'm here for study visa. So the person there said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't. I didn't know. I came on the Greyhound bus from Toronto. And
Yeah.
so he said, oh, you have to make an appointment. I said, I had no idea. Is there any way I could see someone? So he went and talked. And then the supervisor,
Mhm.
she called me in. Harmony, you won't believe it. I had the interview
Yeah.
sitting in their sitting area, like on a nice sofa and everything. It was because it was nothing scheduled.
Yeah.
And she was very nice. So she interviewed me. And then she said, since you are here, do you want to go for the medical? So I was like, oh,
Nice.
I would appreciate that because I don't know when I'll come back, like, next. Because you see, I had
Yeah.
limited money. And
Yeah.
I
Of
didn't
course.
know, I didn't have any friends or anything. I was literally just, okay, oh, the Greyhound goes there. Okay, so that's a consulate. And I, like, this is how I was
Yeah.
functioning.
Yeah.
She gave me a list. She said, these are all the consulate
Mhm.
recognized healthcare providers or doctors. You can take this and see which one would be closer.
Yeah.
Now I go downstairs, I had to take a cab. So
Yeah.
on the side, I want to mention this, that even before I got the visa and all, Reiki is what I was doing. All of that was part of it. So it's just not
Yeah.
me blindly, just doing things. I was surrendering the whole situation and everything.
Yeah.
So I get a cab. And I'm so tired and sleepy. And I'm like, oh my God, I am not going to sleep because who knows what if this person takes me somewhere else? Because I had heard about, the gangs and, be careful.
Yeah.
And of course, I dozed off. I slept. And he was such a gentleman. He waited
Mm.
for me. I had my
Oh,
tests and everything done. He waited. He brought me back. He dropped me off at the Greyhound bus stop. And I've never forgotten that guy also
yeah.
because to me, these were like angels in disguise.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's so interesting to me to listen to your stories because also I feel like when like for my culture growing up here, when I go to India, I have all these stories of people like this in India too, and all these little sort of divine like synchronicities and things happening
Yeah.
and so that makes me happy that it can happen anywhere in the world and that it's actually more about like us, who we are showing up in the world and what
Yeah.
we're open to,
Yeah.
which also makes me want to ask you some questions because you were a Reiki master and are a Reiki master and then also an Akashic Records, I don't know,
Teacher?
teacher, guide.
Yeah.
Teaching other people how to open up into the Akashic Records. So, can you tell us a little bit about Reiki healing? Can you just talk a little bit about what are these energies that we're channeling in when we're doing Reiki? Like now it's very, I think, popular to talk about like your guides, your angels, your
Mhm.
deities, your I
Mhm.
don't know, ancestors, right? All the
Mhm.
beings
Yeah.
helping you. But how do you understand this? Both with Reiki and when you're channeling the Akashic Records, how do you understand this intuition or this knowingness that comes through or this healing energy?
So Reiki is the divine energy that is running through everything. You can call it chi or ki, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. This is the energy that is running the whole universe, that is running through everything. And
Prana also, right? Yeah.
exactly, that's all the energy, right? And we are energetic beings. People sometimes say, I want to become spiritual. Well, we already are spirits. We are spiritual beings. We're just living a human experience. So,
Yeah.
this human experience is very momentary. Once we are done, we've learned our lessons, whatever, we go back into that pure form of energy. So, I was highly intuitive as a child.
Mm.
And when I'm saying this, I'm really, and I give this example in my workshops as well. I used to talk to beings when I was very young. So these are some things that my father shared with me because obviously I didn't remember all of it. So even as a 2-year old, I used to talk to these beings and I used to ask my father in the morning, do you know this person? Because this is what they were saying. So my father was like, okay, what did he look like? And so I used to share this with him.
Yeah.
So, one thing he told me at a very early age, which really helped me, is that he said that it's good that you are talking to these beings because, like, Ram Krishna Paramhans and all, there was no way in those times. And again, this is not the time of internet, okay? I was born in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, there's no way a child would know about all of this, right?
Yeah.
So he was very understanding, but he said this thing that always pay attention to how you feel.
Yeah.
So when you are talking to someone, if you feel scared or if you feel uncomfortable, then you
Mhm.
don't have to talk to them. So that told me at that early age that I could say no if I didn't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So there was no force. So that was, I think that was beautiful. My mother is not very into all of this. She's very practical. She
Yeah.
has like masters in economics and all of that. So very numbers person, very practical. My father, on the other hand, he was, and you would know because you are a cusp, he was Cancer
Yeah.
by sign. So very gentle, creative. He was like that. And he loved English literature, so expression was big for him, and he was an editor, so he really was into the creative side of things. So I used to only share these things with my father because my mother kind of brushed them off. So, like, yeah, yeah, you focus on your academics and your studies. You were more like, just don't get
Yeah.
into all of this. It
Yeah.
didn't make sense to her. So, when I started going to school and all, I realized this was not normal. So,
Hmm.
what happened was I started shutting down that side of me.
Yeah.
Reiki uncorked or opened all of that for me. And it was literally, I remember when I got attuned, and this is the time, Harmony, when Reiki was not a household name. I think I got my attunement in like 96.
Yeah. Long time
It's a
ago.
long time ago. It used to be different at that time. Not everybody knew about Reiki. Reiki
No.
was very respected and it was like a secret kind of a thing. I didn't
Yes.
learn to draw symbols like this. I remember I learned making it here from my third eye. We
Yeah.
didn't make symbols on paper like, people do that now. So, this energy during the attunement, and I had never
Yeah.
been to Dharmsala before.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
When I got attuned to Reiki, I did astral travel and I was there in Dharamsala. I remembered seeing all of those mantras and tantras on the walls
Yeah.
because I visited Dharamsala later on, a few years after that. And I was amazed because I had been there, I had seen all of that.
Hmm. Incredible.
And those were also the times when, after Reiki level one, they didn't allow people to do the level two immediately. Like you had to practice Reiki for 6 months at least. Then you had
Yeah.
to go back and then they checked the energy and they were the ones who said, okay, I recommend you were ready for the next step. So
Right.
this is how it was done. But in my case, after that experience, something just opened up in me. Like within 2 months, I went back for my next level
Yeah.
and things started shifting. Harmony, I actually started living by the five principles of Reiki.
Yeah. Wow.
I really imbibed it, and
Yeah.
it was something that just started flowing beautifully. So that is what Reiki did for me. So this one thing led to another. Reiki helped me with a lot of things. Actually, I was not even separated, and all of that happened after Reiki. I was trying to fit the mold, I was still going on. At that time, I was suffering in that relationship, but I didn't want to give up. So I was putting in all my energy. I wanted it to work out. But it
Yeah.
was after Reiki, actually, that this whole treasure chest of wisdom opened
Yeah.
up for me. And Akashic Records also came along. It was one of those things that just happened beautifully for me.
Yeah.
I used to do like a booth at the
Mm-hmm.
Whole Life Expo. And I had done with Doreen Virtue, I had done angel therapy because it's like, one step leads to another and things
Yeah.
just, it's like different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle just fitting in beautifully. I used to do these. And then
Yeah.
people started coming to me and asking me for Akashic, like, could you please teach me? And I was like,
Ah.
oh, I can't. I don't know. I could never think of myself as teaching
Yeah.
Akashic Records. But
But
then,
how did you know you were tapping into the Akashic Records? It's so funny. I was telling my son some of the things that you translated for me through my Akashic reading with you. And I said, "Oh, I had an Akashic reading with a friend of mine today." And
yeah.
I said, "Do you know what that is?" And he's like, "Of course I know what that is."
Oh, I love it.
I said, "Oh yeah, what is it?" And then he's like, "It's the records of your past lives and your future lives and all of time and space." And I was like, "Okay."
See, that's what I love about the younger generation. I think they are more clued in.
And then he's like, "What'd she say?"
Wow. I love it. I love it.
But, I mean, is that how you would describe the Akashic Records?
Absolutely. Because it's all electromagnetic, right? If you look at everything as energy, then
Yeah,
when we talk about energy, there is resonance, there are
yeah,
vibrations, and there is also a field, right? Because energy has
yes,
its own field, right? So it's all electromagnetic field. Like we have our own electromagnetic field as well. So everything that has ever happened, existed, whatever words you want to say, it's all imprinted energetically in this electromagnetic field.
Mm.
And that is what we tap into. Now,
Mhm.
having said that, we don't have to go somewhere else to do that because, and this will make complete sense to you because you're familiar with yoga and all.
Yeah.
So, because we also are made of five elements,
Yeah.
and ether or space is also one of the elements out of it.
Yeah.
So, when we are living in a very physical dimension, all the other elements, the earth, because obviously we are on earth and we have to be grounded here to do the work, fire and air and water, our bodies are 70% water. So, all these elements that we are made of,
Yeah.
when we are aligning with this etheric element, we're
Mhm.
not going anywhere else. It is we are tapping into this element that exists in us. So if you think about a piano, right?
Yes.
The one that we are, whatever we are pressing, like it presses and the other one goes up. It's the
Yeah.
same way. It's like there's this harmony that exists in the universe. And when we are at the right time, when we are ready, not everybody taps into the Akashic record also. So when we
Yeah.
are ready and we are feeling called or pulled towards that, it's that the ether or the space element in us that is more prominent. And that
Mm.
is how we are connecting with the etheric levels of the
Yeah.
universe or the electromagnetic waves where all of this information is actually imprinted energetically.
Yeah.
And when we tap into that, it activates
Mhm.
those cellular memories that we are working on at this time. So, the way I work in the records, and you have experienced it, it's not how many times have I incarnated. I mean, these questions also you can ask in the records.
Yeah.
But the way I like to do it, I don't want to ask someone, okay, what are your questions? What do you want to know? I want to work from a very clean slate. And as I access somebody's records, whatever they need is what is given.
Mhm.
So I'm literally sharing whatever is given without putting my filters on. And that's why I don't want to know because then
Yeah.
my ego can place those blinders for me. So sharing without diluting whatever information is coming and then sharing it so that what you need to know or what the person needs to know, they receive it because what is being shown has a meaning that is special for them.
Mhm.
I am not living their life. So that's why I don't like to filter it because the way I will understand it would be different based on my experiences. This may have a different meaning for the person that the reading is being done.
Right.
Right? I find the records actually share what we need.
Yeah.
That may not be what we want, but that's what we need to help us move forward. So, because I'm all about empowerment, since I
Mhm.
have lived a disempowered life, so
Yeah.
it's like it's my life mission. I use the records as an empowerment tool.
Yeah.
And what we need to know to move forward on our path, what will bring me to the next step forward? Or at times, if I am feeling like I'm lost in a maze, so
Yeah.
what guidance will help me? So I channel the information or the wisdom
Yeah.
from that perspective. And I can say that, Harmony, that because I have been doing this work for a long time now, has been
Yeah.
like, even with the records, Akashic Records and all, have been like over 2 decades. The way everything comes is like all my senses open up,
Mhm.
really, even smell, taste.
Yeah.
So I am the character. So if I am doing a reading for you, I
Mhm.
become you. So I'm experiencing things as you while
Yeah.
also observing.
Yes. Like a dream. That happens in dreams a lot where you are both in the dream, but you're also witnessing the dream.
Yeah. But also all of these. So taste, smell,
Mhm.
hearing,
Yeah.
Emotions, oh my God. There are times when there is so much emotion in somebody that I start crying. And if you talk to me at that time, or if you look to me, you're like, oh my God, you poor thing, don't cry. But it's because I'm experiencing this as them, as the person
Yeah.
whose reading I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I feel with time, this has really helped. So even now, if I'm sitting far, and some of the teachers, because with the Kindred Souls Academy, there are
Yeah.
teachers also who are teaching Akashic Records now.
Yeah.
So
Because you've trained them, right?
yes, I've trained
Yeah.
them. So even, sometimes they will reach out and they say, this is what happened. And there is this one client. Could you just tap into it and let me know what's going on there? So while sitting there, they speak and immediately everything opens up. And I haven't met the
Ah,
person.
yeah.
But this is, and I don't take this lightly. I take this as a big responsibility, because when you have something like this, like, it's a beautiful tool, there are chances that people can misuse that and misguide
Mhm.
people as well. And I tell people, don't, because the whole purpose you got into this is because you want to walk a spiritual path.
Yeah.
And if you let your ego tell you what to do, then you are actually getting off the path, and this might actually backfire. So
Yeah.
something that, with the social media and people having access to everything,
Yeah.
things at times go haywire. But it's important to just keep your focus on what you are doing, because I have to say this: if people get into it to make money, then
Mhm.
they're in the wrong profession. This
Yeah.
is a profession where you are here to serve.
Yeah.
People come to you because they are struggling in life. There are things happening, they are sad, they are seeking answers, they are looking for that hope, that light.
Yeah.
And if you make it about a profession about making money, then you're hardly walking a spiritual path. Then, you could be doing any other business. And I would
Yeah.
dare say, do some other business if you're in it just to make money.
Yeah.
Because
There's a lot of other businesses that you can make a lot more money in.
this is about service for sure. There's no
Yeah.
doubt, no second opinion about that. It is about service. We all belong to this universal consciousness.
Mm.
And when someone is hurting, that's where humanity comes in. When someone is hurting, you can feel the pain. That's where the compassion comes from. We are not separate from each other. We are all so deeply connected. When we are born, we start our individual journey. We learn about who we are. It's about I, me, myself. It's about survival. Initially you depend on your family and your parents for survival, but then okay, now I want to become independent. I have to get a study. I have to get a job. Now I have a family. So if you look at it, our journey starts from that family unit. We become individualistic because now you have to be independent. It's about survival. If you cannot survive, you cannot live. So that part, and then you go back into oneness.
Yeah.
And at the end of life, it is all about how, from where we started, we go back to that. We cannot
Yeah.
survive on our own. It is not about I, me, myself. It is about the collective. It's about us. We cannot do it on our own. So that's the whole journey.
I love it. Yes. The longer I live, the more I realize that we just keep going in circles and like meeting ourselves again and again at the beginning.
Yeah. And then oneness is such a part of us. Have you noticed when we do small acts of kindness?
Yeah.
Small acts. Like if you just see someone on a cold day, and let's say Tim Hortons, right? You
Yeah.
buy coffee there, and then you just pay for the next person who's coming behind you. You don't know the person, you're not ever going to see them again.
Yeah.
But do you see how much? It's just what, I don't even know how much a Tim Hortons coffee is, but maybe $2 or $3 or something,
Yeah.
which doesn't really mean anything. But how good that makes us feel.
Yeah. That's happened to me before in a Starbucks drive-through, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That kindness, the ripple effect that
Yeah.
creates.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's because that oneness is actually our truth.
Yeah.
That's who we are. That is authentic truth.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
100%. Tell everyone how they can find you if they want to work with you or find out more, get your book or book a session. How can they find you?
So people can connect with me at kindredsouls.com. So this souls is a Z and then S. So kindredsouls.com. If you're looking for Akashic Record and more of spiritual guidance, all of that work I do there. And if you're looking for coaching, we're lucky that we have
Yes.
certified as coaches. So if they want to work as a coach, and where I combine, because I also do Reiki, Akashic Records, I also do astrology, numerology. I'm a breathwork facilitator as well. And so bhavyagaur.com. So my full name,
Yep.
BHAVYAGAUR.com. That is also for coaching, where I do group containers as well as one on one. I do that through Kindred Souls as well, because I bring in all the neuroscience, psychology, all the sciencey stuff, and I
Yeah.
combine that with all the energetics. So
Beautiful.
to bring into wholeness wherever you are in life, it's not a mistake, and you are not here to suffer.
Yeah.
That's a myth. That's a redundant belief. You can change your destiny because you are creating it as you go. So please never ever feel that because you're suffering, you have done something wrong in previous lifetimes. That's why you're here to suffer. That's not the thing. As long as the awareness comes in, you have learned the lesson. And from there, you can grow because the universe is on your side, and you are here to grow, expand, and learn. You're not here to be stuck and suffer.
That's a great takeaway message for today. Thank you so much for coming on as my guest and for just imparting your wisdom and your energy and your essence with us. It was such a privilege and an honor to have this conversation with you today.
Oh, thank you so much, Harmony. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for this opportunity. Whoever is meant to connect, thank you for
Yes, may
being
they
that
come.
link. Yes, I'm open, and the universe is at work. And of course, harmony is our work to bring
Yes.
in harmony, because people are on the quest for finding harmony. So,
Yes, we're all finding harmony together.
yeah.
That was just so amazing. What a fun conversation. I learned so much, and I hope you did too. If you would love to go deeper and take your practice off your yoga mat and into your life, into the world, starting to learn more about pranayama, developing a regular practice, chanting, tuning into the vibrations and the Sanskrit mantras, as well as looking at some of the more esoteric philosophical concepts, come on in to my Inner Circle mentorship. This is a private community that's online. I offer weekly Mysore classes in addition to these monthly workshops and special programs. And you can find out all the information when you join the Finding Harmony community. Head on over to community-harmonyslater.com. Join the community and come on into my Inner Circle mentorship. I would love for you to be a part of this beautiful space and start growing into the full richness of this yoga practice together with me. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.